I call this meeting to order of the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors for a special call open meeting. We will be allowing an open forum this evening, and right now I only have one open forum request. The open forum requests are back in the back table, I believe. Mary, is that right? Yes. And if you want to participate in open forum, get one of those forms and get it back up here to our secretary. I intend to have that open forum before we get into the action items tonight. While we're giving people a minute, if you want to get some, I want to explain something. The reason that we're having this meeting, the reason that the board is voting on this plan is not because it's required by law or anything like that. The School Budget Review Committee wants to know that the board supports the administration's plan to get back into I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it, but let's say to just get into a positive position with respect to our budget. And we use a lot of different language when we talk about it, but that's essentially what's going on. The administration has been working almost tirelessly to figure out all of these numbers. What are we going to do? We've got big numbers. We've got a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan. We've got all sorts of issues that need to be addressed. They're going to present tonight a 2-year plan. It will be substantially what was presented last night and discussed. The board will vote on the 2-year plan, and then we will have a discussion to discuss the 5-year plan as well. The board will vote on that also, even though it voted several weeks ago on a 5-year plan. The intent of all of this, and the reason for this meeting being held today at 3:45, is that there's a liaison to the School Budget Review Committee that has to receive this information by today if we're going to get it submitted to the SBRC for their consideration at the meeting that we're going to have in December. So it isn't like we're trying to hide anything. We aren't trying to do something wrong. We're trying to do everything right. And we have to get this done today. There's no question about it. If we didn't get it done, then we lose that opportunity and we go to the SBRC with old information. And so when I actually established the meeting time at 3:45, because at the time things were moving so fast. We also have a 24-hour requirement by law that we have to post a meeting prior to having the meeting. So when I found out about all this, yesterday it was about 3:20, and trying to find a time that we could get the time, trying to get the meeting room, and in fact I think we ended up goofing up some other people that had dibs on the room even. But I just wanted to explain that this is something that we believe it's in the best interest of the district and the everybody in the district and in the best interest of our community. And so here in a few minutes, like I say, the administration will present what this plan is. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to look at it. I know it may seem kind of wacky that we have a meeting yesterday and a meeting today at 3:45, but it is what it is because that's the way it had to be. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit. Right now I still only have one open forum request. If there are no more, then I'm going to go with this. And this is Vera Kelly. So Vera, if you want to come on up and give us your name and address.
Good afternoon.
After.
Is it on?
Yes.
Good afternoon. First, I want to say that I really thank God for being here myself. I've been here for 53 years, and I'm very involved in the school system because my kids went to school through the Davenport school system. We didn't move out, we stayed within the system so they could go to all the schools. But I want to compliment the school board for what you are doing. Because, see, I know I'm on every board it is in the Quad City, and I don't get paid for it. You guys don't get paid, but you're trying to do the job for our kids. The kids is dropping, and we know that some of the schools need to be closed, but you all is fighting, trying to keep them going. My thing is, work together. Don't let nobody stop you all from working together. Work with the administrators and work with the school board. Why should you get another school board when they don't know what they're going to be doing? Don't let the state come in and say, we're going to get rid of you guys. You guys have been here for a long time, and you know what's going on. So you can say, we, the school board, is going to work with the administrator, and we're going to work with the kids. Not just some kids. You're not going to put money over here when it needs to be over there. Put it where everybody can reap from the benefits. And you know what? When you know you've done what you're supposed to do, you don't have to get no pat on the back. Because somebody come along and say, I thank you. I know all of you on the school board. I know Mr. Potts. I remember him when he taught my kids science, and then when my grandson came along, he was the principal. I know TJ, I know Ralph, and I know Linda. And I know you all mean well. You can't please everybody. If you did, you wouldn't have a school system. So when you do what's right, it'll come back. And they can say that even though, you know, if what you done yesterday still look bad to you today, you ain't done nothing yesterday. So what you need to do is move forward. Yeah, Dr. Tate was here, Dr. Tate did, but Dr. Tate is gone. So you do what you have to do. And if it means closing schools, close them. You notice we don't, when things are going well, we sit at home. But soon as something start acting up, it's a room full where they're at today. They could have took off if they wanted to. But no, you want to start trouble. And the best way not to start trouble is get in there and work with the people, and you can get what's accomplished. And I say again, I'll stand anywhere and say I am proud of my school board. I'm proud of you guys. You got dignity, and you know how to act. Because I tell you, if I was sitting on that school board, something go along, I don't know what I'd be doing. But I'm proud of you. And keep on working. And when you go, wherever you go, when you go to Des Moines, you tell them, you don't want the state to come down here and tell you all what to do. You present them with what you got. And when you present it, make sure that everybody is together. If you're not together, when you come out of the room, you tell, well, I wasn't for that. But when you're sitting with them, say, I'm together. We, the school board, we presenting this, not 4 of them, and the other 3 don't want it. So I'm looking for a great success, and God bless you.
Thank you, Vera. And it reminds me that I failed to mention that we do have 3 board members that are participating this evening. They have to be on the phone for various reasons. They cannot attend in person. But we have Director Mayfield and Director DeSalvo and Director Gosa are participating by phone. so they will be part of the meeting. I just wanted to point that out. We received another open forum request from Tara Witherow. Why don't you come on up, give us your name and address.
Hi, Tara Witherow, 1715 West Garfield Street, Davenport, Iowa. Mom to 3 kiddos in the Davenport schools with 3 different IEPs. I will agree with one thing that our previous speaker said, was that we need to work together and come together with a plan that everybody agrees on. But I would expand that to say that everyone needs to agree on it, not just like 5 school board members, but the whole community. We need community to agree, we need the teachers to agree, we need the schools to agree. We need everyone involved and all the parents to agree on the plan, not just a budget that some administration made last year and then we're just going to stick to because that's what we have written down. But we can be more creative. And there are parents and teachers who are invested in trying to help cut money and find the funds as well. So if we listen to each other and all work together, I think we can come up with a better plan. I wasn't prepared to speak to anything, but since nobody was here to talk to you, I figured I better come up and say something. So that's about it. Just, we're all welcome and hoping to work together to come up with better solutions, but we have to be able to do that. So you have to be able to work with the community and the parents towards that goal. And I do thank everybody for being here today, but I can't forget that some people that are here in the administration and the school board today were also the ones who created this problem in the beginning. So, you know, let's not just forget that or try to ignore it. We have to admit that and work around it or acknowledge it and see where we can go from there. All right, that's all I can think of for now. Oh, that's okay.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Tara. We received another one from Freeland Nelson. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not.
It's Evelyn Nelson.
Evelyn, I apologize for that, Evelyn. Thank you.
I live in Bettendorf, and I moved here from Ohio, and I chose Bettendorf because I would never send my kids to Davenport schools. And I actually talked about that before at a meeting the school board was having, and it was just a mess. It was, you know how the whole Davenport thing goes, the gossipy thing, and somebody came to me and said, why'd you say that at the school board meeting? And I said, because it was the truth. I wouldn't send my kids to Davenport schools. I thought we were talking about the truth. I did research, looked at the civil rights, the Office of Civil Rights statistics. I happen to be, have a law degree, so I know how to look at those kind of statistics and things like that. And I made an informed decision to not send my kids to Davenport schools because the disparities are really disgusting. And, just looking at the data, you get really, really upset. But then hearing the stories of parents, just the other day I was talking to someone and they told me about an incident that happened at Jefferson, and her biracial son was actually knocked on the floor, laid on top of, and asked if he was retarded or slow. And that just really, really hurt my heart. I heard a lot of stories working at United Neighbors from the kids that we served and their parents, and it was just really, really horrible. The kids being thrown in boxes, what do they call it, like the detention rooms or something like that, with, still having supplies in there and chemicals and things like that. So, that's really horrible. And I can't stand up here and lie. I'm not kind of in the in crowd in the Quad Cities, to where we have to have these open secrets because we want to sit at people's tables and be a part of the in crowd. I don't have to be a part of that because I stand by myself. I stand alone, and I'm proud of that. So I'm not going to say that I'm proud of any of you because I'm not. And I think that you should be ashamed of yourself. I think that you're incompetent. Anybody that voted for that, $13 million thing, or anybody that votes for these unethical decisions, you're incompetent, you're incapable, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And some things I heard last night at the meeting, first of all, when people were asking questions about data and stuff, you had no idea what they were talking about. You had no idea what the data meant or what the numbers were. And I know that when you're dealing with federal funds, you have to know this stuff. So the fact that you don't is just, I can't even describe how horrible that is. And then also, Julie DeSalvo said something that was just completely horrible. She all of a sudden she wants to demand that there be monthly reports about things. This is a board, this is a school district that works with $189 million. You should have reports every month anyway. Like, what are you talking about? Again, incompetent, incapable, should be ashamed of yourself. You need to resign, you need to step down. That's all I have to say.
We received another open forum request from Jennifer O'Hare. Jennifer, if you want to come on up, give us your name and address, and then
Jennifer O'Hare, 530 East 29th Street in Davenport, Iowa. Initially, I came today to address the budget reductions, which everybody's in a terrible spot having to make these reductions, and we probably should have done some stuff a long time ago. But we are here, and that's where we're at, and we have to kind of move forward from here. I guess I just wanted to say that I'm born and raised in Davenport. I went to Jefferson and JB and Central High School, and I went to college in Iowa, and I joined the district in 2001 with Rita Watts, which you probably all know Rita, and she was wonderful. She was my second grade teacher, and I remember every single one of my elementary school teachers. I remember the majority of my junior high. High school is a little foggy for lots of different reasons, but that's just being honest. I am a parent of 4 children, 2 of which have graduated from Central, and I have 2 kids at Garfield. And I would be a liar if I said that things were perfect, because they're not. But we need to acknowledge where we're at, and we need to move forward. And I agree that we do need to work together. But the comments that were previous make me very sad, and I think that there have been people who've made mistakes, because we're all human, and that, like you, I want to thank God that I'm here today, because I'm a Davenport graduate and I'm an employee of Davenport, and I hope that can continue. But I haven't moved, and I live in Central Davenport, and my parents raised me that you need to, if good people don't live in neighborhoods, then good things won't happen. And so I think that we just have to keep doing that. Thank you.
thank you, Jennifer. I have no other open forum requests. So with that, we'll move on to our other items requiring action. I'll turn it over to our interim. Oh, excuse me. What? Who did? How do you know? Okay, our vice president has said we have one more open forum request. Is that right, back there? Okay. So we'll wait for that before we continue. Okay, thank you. Is it Farah Holiday So Farrah Holiday, come on up to the microphone, give us your name and address, and tell us what your thoughts are.
My name's Farrah Holiday, and I live at 1007 West 16th Street. I'm born and raised here in Davenport. I've attended the Davenport School District. I have my whole life. I have 4 kids. One is about to graduate, Central. I have one that graduated in 2012, West. I have one at Jefferson and one at Williams. The one at Williams has an active IEP that I just had a review over. What brings me here today is watching actually the news and seeing just the comments, one after another, directed at you guys, and the lack of value added. I think one of the comments I seen on the news, besides step down, you should be impeached. I just thought it was terrible. I think as a community, being involved in the school district and having children and involved with teachers and things that I've witnessed and the differences and how students have been treated in the school district by teachers, by paras, or even people in the lunchroom, based on kids, how they may look. And I don't mean being profiled. One child may have better features than the other or dress differently, where they tend to be treated or valued better. Those asking for you guys to be impeached or to step down would be like asking for those educators or those people to also, they would need to step down. Yes, it's cost, how much money, but that also damages kids. That also will cost the community at some point in time a lot of money, because you're damaging kids as they go forward. Some kids are judged by their last name, but we do these every single day. A lot of us don't know the background of how this stuff kind of fell in your lap. I appreciate the fact that you guys didn't resign. You guys are here. You guys are, in my eyes, it's owning it. Yes, you guys did, whatever needed to be done and made the decisions that needed to be done. But do I think it was malicious? Do I think it was a situation where it was, hey, let's go to Disney World? No, you reviewed the information given to you and made the best decision for what you had in front of you. My kids attend the school district. I'm not going off of hearsay. I heard, no, I'm too old for that. That's for elementary school. I go off of what I've witnessed. My daughter's here. She attends Jefferson. She loves Jefferson. She would definitely let me know if anything terrible would have, taken place that she didn't agree with. Her mother would be the first one there to visit them, and they'll let you know. But instead of pointing fingers, how much of that are you going to do? Shame on you, shame on you. And what's next? I'm curious to know, and maybe I've missed this portion of it. I know that the cuts are going to have to take place regardless. Yes, everybody's upset by them. Nobody likes to see it take place. Are there other options available as far as like surrounding districts that maybe have some of these openings? Is there a committee put together that can maybe reach out for placement purposes? Are any of those avenues being utilized or researched or being brought to the table at all? It's just, resolution is kind of my thing, so I've just been curious on the background of that. So that's, I guess, all I have, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Farrah, and thank you, everybody, for coming up and giving us your perspectives. Now we'll move on to the other action items. I'll turn it over to the interim superintendent, Schneckloth.
I believe we discussed the first portion of the two-year budget last night, so barring any further questions, I know we discussed this at length last night, I will turn it back over to you. And feel free to answer any more questions, but I feel like we've discussed everything in the two-year plan last night.
Okay. So we did discuss this, and then I thought that you may have made any changes since last night, or is this exactly the same?
There were some wording, example, changes to the elimination from the MAG budget. The wording was very confusing, and we changed a little bit of that to show we are not in actually eliminating the social workers. The wording reflects more directly what we're doing.
All right, then why don't you give a 1-minute summary of what this means? Can you give us a 1-minute summary of what this is? What does it mean?
This is a 2-year budget that we're going to take before the SBRC December 11th that has to show positive unspent balance. And there are general reductions, which are shown in the general side, which are certified staff, realignment, transportation, early retirement, 10% budget reduction in energy efficiency. There is a classified reductions, which show the effects on the paraeducator, non-bargaining, clerical, special education offices of the gen ed side. Then the administrative services, which represent this center, the reductions to the business offices, human resource, learning information services, the curriculum department, learning supports, marketing department, operations department, 3 administrators. And those are reductions in personnel and discretionary funds. The discretionary funds that we're reducing are $150,000 from Jefferson, which are above and beyond what they get normally from moving away from the Edison Academy. A graduation liaison reduction in expense budget, Keystone reduction in expense budget, and attendance coaches reduction in expense budget.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion regarding approval of the 2-year budget?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes?
I move that we accept the 2-year budget as written with the possibility that it is fluid and it may change if we can find those cost-efficient measures in some other way. No. Okay, I accept the 2-year motion as written. Well, if there's additional ways that we can save, I do want it noted that that can be included.
So we need to somehow succinctly describe that because it's a little bit different than the motion that's here.
I move that the 2-year motion, or the 2-year plan be accepted as written and open to any additional savings that we may gain.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion?
This is Director DeSalvo.
Yes, Director DeSalvo.
I would just like to comment and reiterate again that this is not a plan that we're all in favor of, but it is something rather that we have to do in order to basically save our district. And I will continue to ask for numbers and updates and monthly explanations of what is going on so that I, as a board member, can fulfill my responsibility of keeping track of what is happening in our district. I feel that's my responsibility, and I will continue to do that. And I am confident that this plan is going to move us out of the negative unspent balance. It's not going to be easy. I again ask for the public to help us during this extremely difficult time. These are not decisions that any of us wanted to get to, but we are here and we have no choice. We are doing what we can do to save literally our district. These decisions are not easy, and they're not going to be easy in the future. We have huge hurdles ahead of us, and the only way that we are going to come out of this is by working together. We need the community support. We need help in making our district successful in correcting these issues and finding resolution and finding our way out of this. And we are going to do it. We are going to be unified as a district. We are going to make this better. And this plan is a difficult step, but one in the right direction. And I will support it when we go to the vote.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Director Mayfield, do you have anything?
Actually, I believe it's all been said.
Okay.
Don't need to reiterate what's been said about every board member said so far. So I think we just have to move forward and make this happen.
All right, thank you. Director, oh, I'm sorry. Director Gosa, did you have anything?
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate what the other board members have said, and again, I'm agreeing to this because it's a fluid plan that hopefully we can come up with some other savings to reduce some of the staffing cuts.
Anything else? I just want to clarify, when everybody talks about a fluid plan and one that we can manage and change, we can to some extent, and I did verify that with the SBRC liaison this morning. But it's not fluid to the extent that we can change our mind and not attain that $13 million. I want to make sure that's really clear. So, okay, if there's no other discussion, I'm going to call for the vote. Director Hayes?
As hesitant as I am, we've went over this and hashed over this quite a bit. I think we've had a lot of nasty negative comments here, which until you've actually sat in these seats, it's really hard to know what this feels like. There's been comments that we do not have children in the district. There's one of us that has a child in the district. I have grandchildren in the district. So this is very personal to me. There's a lot of things going on in the district, and sometimes it's easier to pass judgment when you're not fully aware of all of the details. In order to get all of the details, sometimes you have a different mindset on things. And mindset is what is creating some of this issue that we're in right now. So hesitantly, as much as this is and as hard as this is for me to vote yes on this, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Director Potts?
Yes.
Director DeSalvo?
I will say this isn't an easy decision. It's not one that I hope, I don't like to have to do, but my vote is yes.
Director Gosa?
Again, it definitely is not an easy decision. And it's definitely different setting on the other end of the table. And I have 3 kids in the district, so this will definitely impact me and my family. But I'm gonna vote yes, because I know it's what we need to get done.
Director Mayfield?
Yes, I'm voting yes for reasons given. I do believe that we have not much other choice at this time. Health conditions can be made better as we go along here to help that bottom line. And that's really what I can say about it right now.
Okay, thank you.
So my vote is yes.
Thank you. Director Beck?
I also have a child in the district, and this one will be there in 6 years or so. And this is not an easy decision. It keeps me up at night. I ask a lot of questions because I want to make sure not only I understand everything, but sometimes I want to make sure that everybody in the audience understands. And it's definitely different sitting here than when I was on the other side of the table. And regardless of how we got here, we're here. Can't look backwards. We need to move forwards. And so I also vote yes.
Thank you. And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We have one more issue that I do want to address tonight, and it's an approval of a 5-year budget. And before we make the motion, I'd ask the interim superintendent to describe a little bit what's going on here, and I may add a few comments about why we're doing this, but tell us what you can about it.
So when we first brought the 5-year budget to the board, I think it was November 5th, and we submitted our artifacts for November 9th, and then that's when we found out we needed to include a 2-year plan. And so essentially, what the 5-year plan is sustainability. Once we get out of 2020, how do we plan on sustaining ourselves in the future? And so obviously, we had to reshuffle some of the items in the 5-year budget. We called it last night accordion those cuts up, and the things that we could control were the staffing right now. We couldn't close a school next year. We couldn't do the block scheduling. We couldn't go after, we couldn't find cuts in those areas as fast as we could in this. So the 5-year budget that you have here, you've essentially voted on November 5th. I would like to give you guys some time to review, because obviously we had to move some things up and adjust the timeline of when things are inside of this budget. And we moved some things back and some things up. So what we've done is we've put the previous 5-year budget in the first column and the second 5-year budget, or the updated 5-year budget in the first one, because you can see we had to move quite a few of our reductions up to fiscal year 20. So I'd like to give you guys a couple of minutes to review that. There are no new items in here. Some things have moved back and some things have moved up. So I'd like to give you a couple of minutes to review that and then allow you to ask questions. Turn it back over to President Johann.
Okay, thank you. And while the board is reviewing, I'll just say again that the board approval of this plan is really important to the SBRC for the purpose of knowing that the board supports the plan. The board does not have the authority to make a budget. That's not the way this is all set up. The administration is making the budget, and tonight we're putting our stamp of approval on it. That's what's going on. But it is still the administration's plan. So there are some modifications that are obvious to everybody. And I think what I'll do is I'm still going to get the motion on the table, and then I'll allow questions. Is there a motion to approve the 5-year budget?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move that the board accept the 5-year plan as written.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So it's on the table. Are there any questions or concerns about what's been presented in the modification? Excuse me?
Right. Can we put this up on the screen? Okay, thank you. If everyone has copies, it's fine. I didn't know that.
Did you have any questions, Director Beck? Okay. Director Hayes?
Interim Superintendent Sneckloff, can you explain the 2021 closing of the school for the public? It looks like that's one thing that was moved up from our previous one. We had it, so it's next year, or next school year versus, or the 2021 versus, I think we had it like later in the year before. So it's just moved up now.
Yes, we moved things up, and that's one of the things that was moved up. I want to reiterate that this budget, you guys will eventually, we have to go before the SBRC in March again, so we will be approving this again in March. And the school closings that are on there are not next year, but the following year due to the actions that are required by policy. And so, yes, that is one of the differences as we moved up to get to a balanced budget. But again, we have to go before the SBRC again in March and review this, and we have a lot of input to seek before then.
Thank you.
Anything else? Director Beck?
I see that we still have, so we have 3 insurance holidays this year, 2 in the next fiscal year, is that correct? And then only 1 more, as per our discussion with the actuary? Okay. And then my other question was, if we do school closings or we consolidate to a K-8 model, that would then change some of the transportation issues, but we don't have those reflected in here, is that correct? So that would be additional savings on top of this if we were to adjust those things, okay. I think that's it right now, thank you.
This is Director DeSalvo.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm looking at the 5-year plan and the savings listed for fiscal year 18-19, the existing year. And we have said we would save $9.3 million this year. So then when I look at the 2-year budget reduction plan that we just approved, looking at the 6/30/18 spending authority balance and then getting down to the 6/30/19 authority balance, does that incorporate this $9.3 million?
Yes, it does.
So the $9.3 million in savings does not come off of the 13.2 or the 7.9 negative unspent balance. That's all. It's already included in that we will say this year by June we're going to save $9.3 million, but we are still going to be in a negative unspent balance of 7.9.
Yes, the $9.3 million in spending reductions is included in the fiscal 19 estimated expenditures of the $188 million that was on that 2-year plan that you approved. So it is
Okay.
taking that into account.
Thank you. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you. Director Mayfield, do you have anything?
Well, I was under the impression that short term was going to momentarily put off the 5-year plan. So I'm sort of really concerned again. While I know what we have to do right now, but I think it's going to have that domino effect. You know, we've talked about how we got to where we're at. I think what we're talking about is going to have the same effect. That if we close a school, junior high is what we've been looking at, or reduce it, It also is going to reduce the elementaries which go to it. And it concerns me which elementaries are being chose to do that. And all that impact that I'm talking about for the future, at some point, is going to hit one of our high schools. Now, I've sit and listened that we had too many high schools and we created another. Not that that high school is not doing well. I'm talking about mid-city. But again, we talked out of both sides of their mouth. We got too many high schools, we created another. And what I'm saying here is we are creating a large problem for the future for one of our high schools. And I go along with the 2-year plan. At this point, I do not have the information in front of me to really make a good decision or to change my opinion, I should say, which I'm going to stick with what we have talked about. I just have a very bad feeling about it because of the future and its implication, what's going to happen down the road. So I'm going along with the plan, but I keep bringing that up because I want someone to hear me. And I'm not quite sure because we keep skipping over that every time I bring it up and go on to another subject. It's definitely going to have that negative impact on our district down in the future. And what I'm concerned about is what it's going to do to one of our high schools. We keep closing the feeders that go to it. It's like chopping the body off, the head's got to go eventually. So it's my opinion. I'm not quite sure if I'm clear enough. I talked about 2 or 3 different things. Did you get an understanding from what I just said that I do think we have to go along with the plan, but you know my reservations about it.
Yeah, I do want to be clear, though. It sounded like you said you agree with the 2-year plan, but you don't agree with the 5-year plan, but then it sounded like you are going to support the 5-year plan. Is that correct?
From what I'm being told right now, the 5-year plan has been included portion-wise into the 2-year plan. Is that correct?
No. The 2-year
So we
plan,
have not.
the 5-year plan that is before you is essentially what was presented towards the beginning of November. And the 2-year plan that we just voted on a little bit ago is actually incorporated into the 5-year plan. And so the 2-year plan is required by the SBRC as a demonstration that we will get to a positive unspent balance by the end of fiscal year 20, which is June 2020. And that's what this 2-year plan is that the administration has been working on and that they just presented and that we just voted on. The 5-year plan is attached as a demonstration that we'll be able to sustain that positive unspent balance. So they're related. They're both really important. The 2-year plan is probably more urgent, but we're hoping to send both of them tonight to the SBRC liaison.
I am agreeing to do this. I understand what you said, but I think with the 5-year plan, I'm predicting down the road what the issues are going to be. I've not changed my vote. What I am saying is that we're still talking about closing school, even if it is down the road. And again, I don't agree with that, but I'm going along with the 2-year plan. And I understand the connection between the 5-year, and I'm going with that at this time. But the things that I talked about, I just think they need to be clear what's going to be happening, I believe, down the road.
Okay, thank you for your input there. Director Gosa, do you have anything?
No, I think Director Mayfield kind of hit on what I was going to talk about a little bit. So I'm going to support the plan because that's what the SBRC is wanting from us. I'm just hoping as we get looking into stuff and stuff like that, we find other places to save money so we don't have to take such drastic measures to save money.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Peck.
So I see that pretty much everything in the left column from the November 5th budget is mirrored somewhere in the right column. Some of them have been moved around. But I did have a question about the, in fiscal year 2020 to 2021, where we have converting from block to traditional schedule. Originally, that was slated at saving 1.3 million, and now it's 1.5 million. How did we get an extra $200,000 out of that?
Originally, when this was done, we had used a lower number for teacher salaries when we did that. And so when I went back, and plus we had put in some transition teachers in that, being that we have this much time to plan on that, we'll be able to build the schedules. For example, we put one extra teacher in each high school just because of building into a block if it happened like right away, scheduling conflicts that we couldn't have. But now that we have a year and a half to plan for that, I don't feel that that's necessary to put those in there.
All right, is there any other discussion? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Again, I will say that this is a fluid document, and I will be expecting updates monthly. That is part of what I feel is my responsibility, and I will appreciate that information that I get each month, and it will be looked at so that we can make sure that we are on task. And for those reasons, I will support this, so my vote is yes.
Thank you. Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Beck.
Yes.
Thank you. And my vote is yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.